Dear Melissa, I'm soon starting a new position as a product manager for a platform team, and I could use some advice on how to approach it. Having internal teams as end users and not having a designer in the team is new to me. How do we run product discovery in a platform team? Does a product trio become a product duo? Any tips to get started? All right, hopefully the tips I just gave will help you as well, but let's dive into that one key part about product discovery because I think that's important. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, you don't need discovery on platform teams or backend teams. And that is just straight out wrong. Product discovery is still extremely important on a platform team. And like I said, I've watched people just build these architecture maps for these platforms and these strategies without ever talking to anybody else in the organization. And they build it and I've seen people waste millions of dollars doing this. So please understand that product discovery is very important. You're just not going to have a designer working with you. Instead, you're going to work with your tech lead. So you and your tech lead are going to be joined at the hip, your trios going down to a duo, and that's totally fine. And what you really want to do as well is partner with the other product managers around the company and other tech leads and other developers. So your end users are now those people internally. So you're going to go do product discovery with them. So let's take an example. You're going to go out and look at one of the product managers, talk to them about what they're building, what their roadmap looks like. You're looking at that and you're saying, okay, that means that on the back end, we're going to have to be building certain APIs and certain different components that will help feed back into these applications that are sitting on top of it that the users can actually interact with. You're going to want to work with those developers and with that product manager to figure out and to understand what types of information are going to be passed through, what types of information they're going to need to want to come back to them. And you're going to want to do it in a way that's easy to plug in. So when you're looking at your product strategy, you need to design it in a way that's great for the other developers there. So some of the discovery that we do is not exactly the same. Like let's say we still do discovery, but our toolkits are not exactly the same as what we would do with a UI. We're not doing prototypes usually. We're not doing A/B testing. Instead, we're still clarifying what people need, and we're thinking about more things like architecture and the way that we set up the product strategy for success. So you're always going to be digesting things that are coming from the other product managers. But again, maybe you surface up solutions that make things run faster or more efficient or contain more data. Sometimes the product managers on those application sites don't even understand what the full platform can do. So that's your responsibility. So during discovery work, you're going to be working with them. You're going to be looking at what's coming up in the roadmap. You're going to be asking them about how they tested it, how users used it. You still want to understand those things. And then you're going to help them translate it into what does that mean for our platform. The second part that you would look at for product discovery when it comes to platforms is thinking about how it grows and how people want to use it. So you're going to be wanting to study how people digest different parts of the platform, what kind of user analytics are on there, how many people are hitting different databases or different APIs and components. And you're going to work with your tech lead to figure out how that scales, how you want to model that out. And you're still doing those customer interviews. So some of this stuff might not be so unknown as in a UI world where we have to work with the customer and show it to them, but you might have some unknowns on a technical side. And this is where you might work with the developers to do things like spikes is one thing that developers call it, to go out and investigate if we can technically feasibly build something. So you might be doing some discovery work like spikes on your platform to see if you can architect it different ways or build different ways or get data or plug into APIs that are external that you never knew about to see if they work or use things like ChatGPT, which everybody loves to talk about, to actually power up your data, right? That's your type of discovery. So it's discovery in a more technical world. It's not so much discovery in a prototype UI type world, but you're still doing discovery and you still got to prove that that's the right thing to do. As long as the product managers on the front end as well, who are talking to end users, are doing discovery and you're doing discovery, this should work pretty well hand in hand. And like I said, a lot of people think you don't need discovery, that you could just go in a room and architect this out. But the more you talk to the people who are consuming your platform, which are the developers and the product managers and the other tech teams, the more you'll understand how they use it and the more you'll get comfortable with thinking about how to architect it and how to make sure that it's scalable, it's usable, and people are not going to just drop it when it gets too hard, right? You could still build an awful platform and nobody will use it. That's still a risk. Everybody's like, oh, we have to use a platform. I've been at a company where they did not. So definitely think about who your end users are now. And it's those people internally. Go talk to them. So that's it for Dear Melissa this week. Next week, we'll be back with another fabulous guest on the Product Thinking Podcast. We release episodes every Wednesday, so make sure that you subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you have any questions for me, remember, go to dearmelissa.com and let me know what they are. We'll see you next time.